Hello, Infiniteers. We are back in the Axiom for the final time. And today we are going to finish this toy box and this series. And this will probably be my final video for the year, except for my Christmas video. Because with the holidays coming up, I'm just going to be too busy to work on videos. So my Toy Box Classics series will be on hold until after the holidays. But for today, I want to finish up this toy box. And once again, I do not have logic diagrams for this episode because you don't need them. The logic today will be pretty simple. So we're going to do three things today. First thing we're going to do is build the tram that takes us from the gallery here to the resort area down there. The second thing we will do is add the malfunctioning robots to the repair ward. And then third, we're going to put the ceiling on top of the corridors down there. And that will end our build for this toy box. All right, so let's start with the tram. And we're going to begin with a path creator. And I'm going to center it here, right on this piece of track, coming right off of the escalator. And I could have put this in ahead of time, but the placement of these points is extremely important. So I want to show you and walk you through these. All right, so we're going to place one about a block away, 2 nudges down the track from our path point, and another one, 2 more nudges. This puts it right on this terrain seam here, or this track seam. And then we're going to come over here on the next piece, and we're going to move it 1 nudge to the right, and we're going to line it up in the middle of those lighted panels down there, so just like you see here. The next point is going to line up right there, like that. And we're going to bring this over so that it's across from that locator down there. That'll be our next point. The next one will be right on the terrain seam here, and right in the middle of the track. So lined up just like you see there, just like you see there. Yeah. Okay. And then the next one is going to come down over here and line it up once again. If this is the edge of the track there, then you bring this over to this point and directly across from the other one. The next one will be directly across from the one down there, and it'll be lined up right here. Okay. And then the next one is going to sit right here on this seam between these 2 racetrack pieces, like that. The next one, if we come over here, we're going to put it right on the edge of the terrain there. But we're going to bring it over a nudge so that it's right under the overhang, the edge of the overhang up there. Then we're going to bring this down and put the next one down here, and these are going to line up in a straight line now, going all the way down that way. But the next one will go there. The next one will go there. The next one will go right there. You can kind of look at the elevator there and those lights across the way, those lanterns. And the next one, come down here. And this will be right on the terrain seam, right here. Or the racetrack seam, right before the Y. Next one goes right here on the edge of those buildings underneath, just like you see there. And then the next one is going to come right up here over one nudge to the right. Okay, so just like you see there. Okay, the next one, we're going to put this, see if we look back that direction, I'm going to line it up just like you see there, and just like you see there. Next one will sit just on the other side of this divider down the middle of this wide track, and it's going to sit right there. Yeah. The next one will come down and be here at this point. And if you look back that way, we're going to come over 2 nudges to that point. Okay, from here, we're going to come over this direction. We're going to line up with the building down there like you see. And then this is going to sit right there. Next one will come over here, lined up right like that. And actually, this is exactly where it needs to go. I think that's going to be too far. Yeah, so this is good right there. Okay. And then the next one comes down over here, lined up across from that building there. And if this, looking down that track, is in the middle, this is going to be just off to the left of middle. Okay, next one will be right in the middle of the track, lined up just like you see there. And then this one will be right across from that, kind of centered in the middle of the resort area opening. Still in the middle of the track, this one will come to that point. And, okay. Then we're going to come over to the left there a little bit. And this is where I'm going to have a problem. Because I don't have the screenshot for this. It looks like it's a little bit off, so we're going to just drop this here, and we'll see how this ends up. The next one's going to be over here, like this, and lined up right there. The next one is going to come down over here and line up just like you see there. And back over. So if we go over 2, this will be right in the middle of the road down there. We're going to come over right here like that. Next one will be right in the middle of the road, and it'll be lined up across from that building like you see there. Okay. Still in the middle of the road, this one will line up right there. Next one lines up right there. Next one right there. Next one. At this point, we want to line it up kind of across from where the other one was, back here. So we're going to kind of mirror what we have over there. So this will sit right like that. Okay. And then the next one is going to sit right across from here. So look how it's lined up with the building over there. Whoops, sorry, this one. So lined up like that. And like that. And it's good just to kind of go back and forth here and just line these up. Okay, so I had that one lined up there, lined up there. And just come straight across. Line up right like that. Okay. So this is one way you can kind of mimic what you have over here. Okay, so looking how it's lined up along the edge of that divider between those buildings. So like that. And then just kind of going backwards here through my screen grabs. Hang on a second. Okay, this might be easier just to go back and forth. Okay, so this will be right in the middle of the road. Like that. And let's make sure we get directly across from the other one. That one in the middle didn't quite matter. Hey, I had it. Perfect. Okay. And then we'll look at how the next one's positioned. This was over one nudge from center. And so we'll go directly across. And this will become a little bit easier as we get back to the main causeway there that goes down the middle of the gallery. All right, so next one goes there. Once we start going down there, it'll be really easy to place points. Okay, so that goes right in the middle of that curved piece. About like that. Next piece will be right across from this one, lined up in the middle of that straight piece. Like that. Okay, next one will be up at this point, right on that seam between those buildings. So right there. Next one goes right up here on the middle of that curved piece. Like that. Next one is directly across from there. Like that. And then it was 1-2 nudges over from there to get to the next point. That was right on here. And at this point, we're just going directly across from the other point that we did coming down the track here. This one had been lined up in the middle of those panels. So this will be middle of those panels. And then middle of the track, right on the seam between the roads. Next one right there. Next one right halfway between those. Next one right on the seam here. And then one more and we're done. Okay. So that took a lot longer than I was wanting it to, but as I said, it's extremely important that you get the positioning of those correct. And we'll take a look at this in a moment as soon as we set the properties. So we're going to set the speed to the max of 300. Turn on looped. Turn off auto start objects when connected. And now we can kind of take a look at our path here by looking at the yellow line there beneath the road. Just kind of notice how it goes. Make sure it doesn't do any weird little loops or squigglies or anything that would look bizarre. Now see that one, that's what I was afraid of with that, because I wasn't quite sure where that had to go. So we're going to move this over, put it there like that. So I moved it over one nudge to the left. That curve looks a little bit better. So we're going to do the same thing with the one over on this side. I can select it and move it just over a little bit. And that straightens that curve out a little bit better, I think. And that actually looks better on that end than it does on this end. So I'm thinking maybe this point isn't in quite the right place. Let's try moving it over and see what we get. That looks a little bit better. Let's try moving it back. We'll try moving this one back over to the right. Again, I'm just tweaking the points. There we go. That follows the road a little bit better. Okay. All right, so there we go. There are our points. Now, for the movement on this tram, I want it to start slow to give the player a chance to board the thing before it takes off and starts going fast. So we're going to set some path point properties here. So on the main path, we'll come down to path point options. We're going to set the speed modifier on this to be 10. Okay. The very next point, we're going to set the speed modifier on this to 25. The next point will be 50. So it'll be going half speed when it comes through that point. The next one, the speed modifier will be 75. Okay. And then when it comes into the station, we want to go basically the reverse of that. So on this point, we'll set this one to 75, because what we're doing is we want it to slow down, and we want it to do so gradually. This one will be 50. My CPU has slowed down a lot since I put these points in here. So this one will be 25. Okay, there we go. and then it'll move at 100%, which is the default on these path points. It'll move at full speed all the way around until it gets to this point. Okay? And when it comes through this point, we want to slow it down. So here we're going to set this one to 50. So when it comes through that point, it'll be moving full speed, and then it'll slow down to half speed, and then I want it to slow down to a crawl to give the player an opportunity to jump on or jump off. And so this one will set to 10. And once again, set that one to 50 so it'll speed up as it leaves the station here. And all the rest of the path points from here on leave at the default of 100. So the tram will run at full speed. Now, because this is a very long tram ride, one tram isn't going to work because you'd sit here and wait forever for the thing to come back. So we're going to use 4 of them. And what we're going to use for the trams are these pieces from Building Sets Group 5. They are the short glass sidewalk, and I've placed 4 of them here. Okay? And to help us out, I got a couple of buttons here. So we'll connect the first one so that when it's pressed, come over to our path. We'll do a reset and stop. This one will do a reset and play. And those buttons are just temporary while we're hooking these up. Ultimately, what you want to do, and we can go ahead and do this now, is we want to hook up our level starter so that on a new logic connection on catalyze, we come over and do a reset and play on the path here. I can select it. There we go. Reset and play. All right, so the first tram, we'll come over and open the logic menu, do a new path connection, and we will drop this right on the path. Okay. And then select that, open the logic menu, go into Properties, Toy Box Path. Speed, we'll leave it 100. We want to orient along the path, and you'll notice that turns it sideways. I want to rotate that so that it doesn't do that. So we'll come down to rotation and set that to 90 degrees. And vertical offset, I want this to be easy to jump on. So we're going to put this at -3, which will put it down as low as we can go without going into the road. So -3. And for the reset percentage, we'll set the first one here to 75. This will put it 3/4 of the way around the track. And I like to do the ones that go the furthest around the track first, because the next ones will be smaller values there, and it won't take as long to set them. All right, so the next one, new path connection. We'll connect that to our path. Select that block. Properties, Toy Box Path, orient along the path. Reset point percentage this time will be 50. So this will put it down right at the tower that takes you to the bridge. Vertical offset -3, rotation 90 degrees. Next one. New path connection. Select the block, properties, orient along the path. Reset percentage this time will be 25. Okay, and one more. And you'll notice these are all stacked on top of each other right now. As soon as we push the button over there to do a reset and stop, it'll put them at their reset points, where we want them to be at their starting positions. This time we'll leave that at 0. Vertical offset -3. Rotation 90. Okay, and then we'll come over here, come out of the editor, push the button. So the first tram is there. Second tram is there. That's the one at 25%. The one at 50% is over there. The one at 75% is there. So you don't have to wait too long this way for a tram, because you got 4 of them running. And if we start them moving along the path, you'll notice it takes off kind of slow and then speeds up. When this one comes into the station, it should start slowing down about now. We'll just kind of watch it for a minute to make sure we didn't miss any path points. And then it speeds up. Comes around. It's going full speed. Just kind of make sure there's no little weird hiccups or anything in the movement. Shouldn't be, since the curve of the path is good and we verified that. So then when it reaches this point, it should start slowing down, like there. Down to a crawl. Then it starts to speed up a little bit. Speeds up some more, and now it's back to full speed. And away it goes. And you got another tram coming in over there. This one's coming out. The next one's coming in. So that just looks really good. So that's the tram system. And that's probably the majority of the video right here. It's just getting that hooked up. Let's go ahead and stop it, just so we're not using up CPU while we try to do the rest of this. Okay. Now in the repair ward, there's some robots we want to place in here, in those pens. And to do that, the one I'm going to use is out of the 3.0 playset Townspeople. It's this one from the Force Awakens playset. And we're going to place the first one here in the 3rd pen. And I'm placing it directly. We'll open up the properties, behavior, just so he doesn't move here. We'll put him to sleep for a moment. This first one we're going to set to laugh, which he makes a little bit of noise. I kind of like that. And the reason I'm putting them in here directly is because I want to have these in here. I can't put them in with a friendly wave generator. And I can't do everything I want with them unless I do put them directly in. And again, let's put him to sleep before he has a chance to move around. This next one, we're going to have him dance. So it kind of looks like he's malfunctioning a little bit. And I'm using the same robot because it's going to save me memory. If I use different robots, it'll take up more memory. And on my Wii U, I don't have much memory left to spare. Now, if you're on a different system, you can use whatever robots you want. But I kind of like these. All right, the next one here is going to be Cheer. So he goes back and forth. He spins around, I think that's hilarious. So you got some robots in here doing some different things. But I thought it'd be nice to have one of them kind of doing what you saw in the movie. In the movie, there was one that was like spitting paint out everywhere. And I can't quite do that. But what I can do is we can use the effects generator. So we can connect that up to an actor. And there's some things we can make this robot do. We're going to hook up the effects generator to the first one here. If I can select him. There we go. That'll be our effects location. He's the one who's laughing. And we'll use this repeater to kick this off continuously. And we'll use the default rate of 5 for that. And so what we can do is when we start up the level, we load the toy box, we can go to our level starter here, do a new logic connection on catalyze, and we can kick off the repeater. Turn that on. And then a new logic connection on repeat. We'll come over to the effects generator, so every 5 seconds it'll invoke this. We're going to play once out of the bursts category. And I'll use the ice debris. You can use whatever you like. But I kind of like that one. Looks like he's a malfunctioning refrigerator robot or something. And if you watched the playthrough video, you saw what that looked like. And that's how I did that. Alright, so that's it for the robots in the repair ward. I only put 3 in there because, again, look at my memory on the right. I'm getting up there pretty high. And I got to leave room for the enemies that we're going to put in along the way. Okay, last thing we need to do is put the ceiling on and we're done. So let's pick up this block here. Put that back to get back to the terrain drawer and that part of the terrain drawer. And let me get my screen grab here. Okay. First one we're going to place down right here like this. And we're going to set the theme on our terrain to be the Imperial Space Station theme. I'll set that to be my theme. Okay, I'll put one on either side, like that. This piece will sit right in here in the middle. We're going to put 2 of them in. And one on either side. Yeah. And the reason we need the one on either side is because there's a little bit of a gap right down in there. If you can kind of see it, but it's between this piece and this piece. So we have to plug that gap. And that's how we're going to do it. All right. And then now when we come up here, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap there. I'm not going to put this all the way up. We're going to bring it 1 nudge down. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can bring this flush with that wall right there. And you'll notice I have a red bounding box. It's hitting this. So what we want to do temporarily is change the theme on this, just to get that out of the way, so that we can put this down right in there. And then again, I got to have the Stark Tech disk, so let me come out of the editor, put that on my base. Nope. I'll select that piece, and we'll put it back to our Stark Tech archway. There we go. Okay. And then, once again, we gotta fill this in over here. And just close the gap. I think we had one over here as well. So like that, cover the whole thing. And yeah, so then we're going to come down 1, 2, 3. And just cover the ceiling. Okay, and then we got a couple of these we got to place in here. Again, we're going to hit that Start Tech arch. So we'll change this over temporarily to something shorter. Drop that down. Cover up the escape pod itself and then put this back. Just like that. Now we have a ceiling on our corridors. And that looks really, really good. Now at this point, you can delete these buttons. Don't need those anymore. And you can go and move all of the Creativitoys below the terrain. That one's probably up out of the way. But like all of the ones down here at the resort, you can move these down below the terrain to hide them and get them out of the way. And once you do that, you'll be done and you can save your toy box. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this series and my WALL-E toy box adventure. Thank you for watching. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to do that by clicking my photo in the lower right corner of this video, and that way you'll know when I release new videos in January. Take care and have a great holiday season.